Hey, Skiba News Nation family. Welcome to our weekly live stream. And I'm hoping I turned on Twitch and Kick, which we had barely any subscribers. But yeah, we're just waiting for some people to get in. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good.
I'm doing all right.
Doing well. Got my beautiful wife next to me.
Happy Father's Day, Jake.
And Opa.
Thanks.
And happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there that are watching. My father as well, if he's watching.
Yep.
What do fathers do for fun for Father's Day? They take a nap.
Yep.
It's probably what mothers do as well. He's a cat dad. What did you do today, cat dad?
Well, I set up this episode.
Yes.
And then I built a cat tower yesterday.
We've got a new cat tower over here.
And Charlie has not bitten me once, which is very good. He must know. But he has been crawling all over stuff today. So he's trying to get my attention. It's from all the, don't worry, I drank my goat milk and ate my salt, so I'm good to go.
Hey man, the more you do that, the more superhuman and like biblical superhero you become.
That's the goal.
That's what I hear.
Well, during our episode last week, you had some fantastic clips, and I was so stoked for one that you showed the little bottle of breath. That was like my favorite, and I know you guys have a segment tonight, but I just wanted to like reminisce for a second because I remember us talking about it, and I was so excited when you first had mentioned it at dinner one night, and you guys were sharing about Ford's last breath, and so yeah, that was a big moment for me. I just wanted to say before we got started.
Well, you got to see it in person, man. You got to go to Dearborn.
It's just so beautiful seeing a last breath. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Just putting the test tube in somebody that's dying's mouth and just be like, blow. You know.
Yeah, but by the time they get it out and try to cap it, it's gone.
Don't ruin the mystique, Opa.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's why we'll be maybe
offering... what they did is they had a tube going into the test tube, and then they turned a little knob to catch it.
It was Edison, so they probably had some invention hooked up. Would not surprise me.
It was probably a face plunger, and the guy was just like,
yeah, not so innovative there, but
it's like CPR.
Oh man,
show enough.
All right. Well, these were my photos from the trip. A lot of what we saw was Jeremiah's footage throughout the museum. So wanted to share some history with y'all. I am obsessed with Henry Ford. I am a historian, if you will, for kind of his life and his work. So I have a lot of things to say. So just this is gonna be great. So well, I guess what we're looking at here is the Model T, and they say that's like exploded. So it's kind of taken apart piece by piece. So you can see all the different parts that take to make that automobile. And Henry Ford was like super obsessed with wanting to make sure every little piece of part was perfect, as well as he wanted to like make every part himself. So I mean, like buying his own rubber and making his own cloth, like he wanted, and wood, like he wanted to do it all and own it all, and didn't have to like outsource anything, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so we saw some enormous engines. Okay, so you see Jeremiah right there standing next to it. They're breathtaking, and you could hear me in the video last week just kept saying, oh my gosh, it's so big, it's so massive. I probably said it like 14 times, but when you're there standing in front of it, it's just awe-inspiring. You see Jeremiah's enjoying himself right next to that giant engine there.
Mm-hmm.
So we also saw some documents,
Some American history.
So this is actually Common Sense by Thomas Paine. Was written in 1776. He wrote a lot of essays. The next one we're going to see is a copy of the Declaration of Independence. So it is not the actual one. Obviously, that's in DC, right? This one is a copy. There were 200 copies made, and there's only 26 still in existence. And one of them is at the Henry Ford.
Very cool to see it up close and personal.
It's in like good condition too. Like you can see everything. This is us in Rosa Parks bus.
Now, I did say something controversial when we were in there. I said, if it wasn't for the driver, it would have never happened, So, in a way, I mean, he did something.
We were sitting in the front.
Yeah, we were in the front.
We were not in Rosa Parks seat.
No, we weren't
but
allowed.
We were sitting in the front.
There are no whites allowed in Rosa Parks seat, allegedly.
Not true.
No.
Okay, so this is the quadricycle. So this was Henry Ford's very first horseless carriage that he made, and we're going to see the actual workshop that he made it in, because this guy kept everything. So he kept his very first inventions down to like the first buildings. He kept the buildings that he created his inventions in. He never wanted to give anything away. So this was a quadricycle. The very first thing, like imagine seeing this driving down the road and you've never seen a car before. Like this was like people would stop and stare and watch him. Like this is so historical. I know like I'm nerding out, but this really is like the quadricycle that started it all. And he ended up selling it for like $200 at one point, but ended up buying it back because he wanted to put it in his museum. So there's that.
Pretty epic. I like that he liked to collect things as I do.
Yeah, Jeremiah's a bit of a collector as well. So this was the Model A. It was before the Model T, the famous Model T. This was called the Model A. It was 1903 when this was built. Okay, so this
was really cool.
Yeah, you want to say a little something about this one?
Well, they were working with the motor because they wanted to make a car for everybody, and his wife and him she helped him get the motor started. Like she clamped it to the sink, and they were both doing it together. I just thought that was so cool.
Christmas Eve. And the first engine he actually got to run, gas-powered engine, in his house. He brought it inside his house. They worked together to get it running. And he kept the sink. Like, he kept the engine in the sink. I mean, if he would try to tell me we were going to keep an old sink, I would be like, no. But Henry Ford kept everything.
And that's straight up history right there.
Okay, so this is the Model B. So you had Model A, and this is the B. He did not go in order.
The LGBT. No.
No. He had like an F. He did have a C. But yeah, this was a touring car that he had. This is the Model S Roadster that he had, 1908. It was less successful, but still a beaut. Here we have the wonderful Model T, 1914, where they used the assembly line to create it. I'm going to ask the chat a question. Why? So there's like an old wives' tale that they were all black, right? So like, why in the chat? Answer in the chat. Why were they all black? Like, why did he make them all black? Some of y'all might know, maybe not. I'm a teacher, so I have to give y'all a pop quiz.
It was his favorite color.
Rosa Parks? I don't know.
Actually, this was part of a Opa's corner, believe it or not.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see if people remember.
If they remember, yeah.
So this was made with the assembly line, right? He wanted fast production. It was in order to keep the costs down. The workers hated the assembly line. They absolutely hated it, even though it was very productive. And to keep employees, he doubled their pay for $5 a day. They hated the work, but they loved the pay.
He said, "Is that a yellow Pinto in the background?" Yes, it is.
The infamous Pinto.
Mm-hmm.
So this is another Model A. So he made 2 Model A's, which are weird. They were totally different cars, both called Model A for some reason. Edsel had a large part in this. Edsel was his son. And Henry reluctantly let Edsel take charge in a few projects like this one. The next one is really cool. So this, after Henry's first company failed, he wanted to get like people excited about like business interests for another company. So he started racing cars. And so this was his sweepstakes, is what he called this car, the Ford sweepstakes. And he raced this car. He would be up at the top driving. And then there had to be another little guy on the side cart because it took 4 hands to drive it, like to steer, to gear shift, to lubricate, and then the brakes. So it took 2 people to actually get it running. And it was pretty dangerous, especially for the guy on the side, especially in there going fast, probably not fast compared to what cars go today, but that is pretty cool. He won several races and he got people excited about it. And then they gave him money so he could start his second company, which is the Ford Motor Company, which is still around today.
Yeah, he loved to race.
So this is a 999. This is another racing car that he had. This was one that Henry did not race himself because he was too scared to race it because it was too dangerous. So they hired a guy, like pro bicycler, and he had never driven an automobile before, but he won a lot of races in that car.
Pretty dope. And it's not 666 upside down, I promise.
It's 999. So there's a bunch of locomotives, like steam engine trains, huge, once again, massive. The building that this museum was in was, I mean, football fields.
Huge Nephilim doors in there.
To get those giant trains in there.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see them in the background, but these pictures, I swear, don't even do it justice. You remember what car this was?
Yes, this was Henry Ford's wife's car. She did not drive a Ford, fun fact.
Not a Ford. The wife didn't drive a Ford. She drove an electric vehicle. Yeah, surprising they had electric vehicles back then. And these were easier because for women, especially because you didn't have to crank the car to start it. And it was easier to like shift gears. So a lot of women chose to do electric cars back then, even Henry Ford's wife.
This was another Opaz corner, believe it or not.
Well, this was in person. We got to see it in person.
Yeah. You know where that car was made?
I don't.
When or where?
Where it was made.
Detroit?
Nope.
Where?
Greensboro, North Carolina.
There you go.
No.
Okay, so this is the Edsel. So like I said, Henry's son was named Edsel. Edsel had his own car. It was called the Edsel. Yeah, one and only child. They said it was horrible looking. They said the front grille was awful and it looked like a Buick sucking a lemon is what they called this car. And it was not successful, but they did have a big Edsel words written on the back.
I thought that was pretty cool.
It was way ahead of its time.
I can see it. I can see the lemon and the sucking look.
I can't. I don't even know what that means. I think
sounds like a slur or something.
Like it's tighter, not more wide. I don't know. Okay, so this is us in front of a Henry Ford statue that was right outside Greenfield Village, which is where all those houses were. And then we're going to have some shots with some of the buildings and the houses. I think the first one is Henry Ford's house that he grew up in. And that's me in front of it. This is Jeremiah in front of his workshop, the shed where he created that quadricycle. This is actually a piece of the Wright brothers' first plane. And it was like dedicated to Henry Ford. Like they wanted him to have it. So they even like
that's one of their signatures at the bottom there. Orville. I guess it was Orville.
Yeah, Orville. And that was
Wilbur.
So they actually constructed. Well, I don't say constructed. They made the parts of the plane in this workshop, then shipped them to Kitty Kitty Hawk, where they had the first flight, and then they
Right.
assembled them there. So there was actually like the original plane parts were built here. They were just assembled and shipped elsewhere. This was the house that Orville and Wilbur grew up in. Okay, so stop right here. Stop right here. So this is Edison's shop, like his company, his business, his workshop, right? Where he employed a bunch of different people. Obviously, he was very successful with the light bulb. Okay, so that chair that you see in the middle of the room is nailed to the ground because when they opened up Greenfield Village with all these houses, these historical houses in it, they asked Edison to come and light the electricity in the town, like to light the village up. And so when he came there that day, he sat in that chair and then used that, I guess, that little pole that's right in front of it to like light up the city. And they said it lit up the world, and he lit up the whole Greenfield Village. Okay. And then Ford was like, you need to nail that chair to the floor. And they did. And it hasn't moved since. Like you can tell like the floor around it's kind of been cleaned and changed since then. But that like square that it's on hasn't been moved. And nobody since Edison has been allowed to sit in that chair except for one person. What is the camera doing?
You did a hand gesture.
I'm sorry, I talk with my hands. I'll keep my hands down here. Okay, so only one person has ever sat in that chair except for Edison. One person was allowed to, and it wasn't Henry Ford.
It was me.
Can you guess who it was?
I did. No.
No, can you guess who it was for real?
Elvis Presley?
Huh.
No. Okay, so in 1929 was when they nailed it. In 1930, Helen Keller
Oh my gosh.
is the only other person that has sat. I figured I learned that
Full
today when I
circle.
was preparing for this, and I was like, I can't wait to just drop that on Jeremiah.
I hate that.
Oh man! Wow.
No wonder
No,
they don't say that
mine.
on the tour.
Well, she had to feel it. They allowed it because she was like, she couldn't find out.
I need
What
to
it
sit
was.
down. I need to sit down.
They say. They say.
Like-
She's like wandering around and she turns around and starts to sit down. They're like, whoa, 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 whoa. And then she sits down and they're like, oh yeah, she's deaf. Oh.
And blind.
She can't even see the light. I mean, I don't know.
And British.
So I can't even appreciate it. But Helen Keller is the only other person that sat in that chair. I think that's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just a wider shot of it. There's like it was filled with bottles and
Test tubes and
God
stuff.
knows what was going on in there.
I was able to pick one up and drink something out of it, and it was not very good.
Okay, so this was Sarah Jordan's boarding house, and it was one of the very first houses to have like running electricity in it. And this is where a lot of Edison's workers would go after work, and they would stay there. It was a boarding house for them.
And it was the first house that had electricity.
Yes.
And we go inside in the last episode.
And then that's Noah Webster's house. He made the first American dictionary. And it was probably one of the nicest house there. So then we also got to go on a tour. Jeremiah didn't show this at all in the last video.
Because we couldn't.
Because we
film.
couldn't. A lot of it you can't video. So that's why I got a few, at least photos. It's called the Rouge. And it is the original factory where they made like the Model T and a lot of the Ford trucks. They still make Ford trucks there. It's been remodeled since then. But it is enormous. It is miles long. And you can see on the roof, it looks green. Is because they have totally like went green with their whole program and put plants on the top, like grew a lot of plants on the top for insulation. They have a living roof that helps manage storm waters and runoff. And the smokestacks in the back, you remember what they said about the smokestacks?
They capped them off. I was gonna make an Auschwitz joke, but I decided against it. But they capped them off to make their own power, like it powers the factory when they closed them off, and it can't be good for the workers. I mean, when I was in there, I couldn't breathe.
It was weird.
They
They wouldn't even let us take pictures once we actually went in, where they were still making trucks on these assembly lines, and it was people like working and doing their thing and putting in dashboards and moon roofs and all. I was mesmerized by it, even though this is something that people go in and work in a factory and do every day. Maybe even some of our viewers work in a Ford factory, but from an outside perspective, it is really, really cool to just see like history. This was outside the Rouge, another statue of Henry Ford
with a young boy. No, it's one of his workers, I think. So we also got to do something cool that I was trying to save time when we did when I played all the clips. I just wanted to show the best of what we had. But they had these cool machines called Moldoramas. And they look like this. Like, this is a Moldorama. And this is a Moldorama.
It's almost like a 3D print, but it's plastic that's...
And let me show you what that looks like.
Molded. Any customer can have any color they want so long as it is black. That's why they made it black.
So it has this, I guess it's like plastic, and it's a mold, and it just does this, and it heats it up, and then it just spits it out. And there are only like under 100 of these still left in the country, which is crazy.
That's
and
cool.
then this was the finished product right when it was spit out. Really, really hot.
Got your first Moldorama.
I love it.
So makes for really cool souvenirs, I will say.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah.
So what was the answer?
Oh, about the black paint? Because it was the cheapest and it was the most durable. A lot of people think it was because it dried the fastest, but that's not true.
It's a conspiracy.
Yeah.
That's cool. So I have to ask, since you're such a big fan, have you ever read The International Jew?
No.
That's going to be her next book, I promise.
No, we did watch several documentaries the night before we went to the museum and hotel.
Right?
And I've been reading his autobiography, but he's not going to talk about, the bad things about himself. But documentaries definitely will talk about some
he wrote
negative.
a book about Jews, I think.
Well, I know. Not in his autobiography. He doesn't talk a lot about that.
Well, he talks about bankers and stuff, and kind of you can put two and two together,
Ah.
But what do you know about that book, Jake?
I just know it's like banned all over the world. But hey, I
was he wrong?
He had some very intriguing points, I think. Worth seeing it from his perspective. Everybody's entitled to their own perspective.
And Henry Ford is actually mentioned by name in
Mein Kampf.
In Mein Kampf.
That's another fun fact. The only portrait in Hitler's office was of Henry Ford. Life-size portrait. And he got the highest honor of any non-German citizen. He got the highest award. And I wanted to show that on the show, but or I wanted to film it, but I don't think they would allow me to do that. So,
Jeremiah, you're in a lot of ways much like Ford himself. You collect things. You're creating your own historical, remembrance museum. I see a lot of parallels there. No wonder you guys you're like the modern Ford, Jeremiah.
Except I don't hate the Jews.
Yeah, let's make that very clear.
Yeah, it's so important as time as ever to state something like that. You know what I mean?
They're gonna move all of the houses that Jeremiah's ever been in to.
I'm gonna donate the house that we live in now when I die to the Henry Ford Museum.
Right.
Yeah, we'll build your historical museum right next to Graceland, and it'll be just a couple feet taller than Graceland. So it'll be like Jeremiah's.
I don't know if I want to do that
estate.
to the king,
Okay, just a little bit lower.
Just a little bit, yeah. I could do that.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's all we got about the Henry Ford Museum. Is there anything else?
That's all I got.
That's all we got.
Sweet. Well, since we have some more people tuning in, let's hit it with a new TrutherCon ad, everybody, and then we're going to get into some news me and Opa have for you.
Let's do it.
Pyramids, ziggurats, and towers were understood as the same type of structure for the same purposes, and had many more purposes than just being this visible monument to their gods. And so this knowledge that is buried under the Great Pyramid, according to the Gnostics, was found by Hermine in their accounts, and was taken to Nimrod, who initiated 1,000 masons who built the Tower of Babel.
The kind of stuff we're going to be learning at TrutherCon 2025. So make sure that you're here in Dallas, Texas. We hope to see you there.
Jake made that very cool ad.
Quicker than you know it, guys. It's going to be here. So make some plans and come out and hang out with us. I think we're starting something really beautiful here. This next video we're sharing is some news, of course, the pressing headline. Sometimes when we put out our Friday episode, things happen literally that day. And so we don't get to cover every single aspect. And so looking back in hindsight to our episode last Friday and showing all those clips of the buildup that was happening, and then watching the episode after it popped off and going, whoa, okay, well, that guy seemed to have called it, and that guy knew something was coming, and it kind of lets you put the puzzle pieces together. But this is our actual first episode covering the actual escalation to the point we're at with basically World War III happening, everybody. And there's some elements of it that I think are really interesting that I wanted to share with you guys, and we can discuss it as we go. But this first clip is of air traffic right after right before the attacks happened. You can see that the skies were cleared, and it's so fascinating to just see as the planes, just break off and no more allowed, and then it's on like Donkey Kong. So yeah, I thought that was really really interesting to see the
Israel has launched
that with air traffic. But let's check out this next clip, which breaks down the capability of Iran to wage war. It's kind of interesting, some of the information they share. But before we play it, I mean, what would you guys do if you could just track anybody in the world at any time? Like, I mean, who would you look up? Like, who would you want to know where at in the world they are at any given point?
President Trump.
I know he was going to say that.
Oh wow.
But I'm pretty sure, I would. I mean, everybody kind of knows there's like a tracker, I think, on X. He's going to be there or not at the White House.
Is there really?
I think so.
Oh.
Well, that's not good. What if people are
they
going
should
to
take that away after, what happened at Butler.
I don't know. If I could track anybody.
She already tracks me. So.
I know. I track all the people I love as of now, so I'm good. What about you, Opa?
I don't care about tracking anybody.
You track us too.
You're telling me there's no,
I can't think
star
of,
you would want to run into, or some figure that you'd want to have a conversation with. You could just pop up and surprise them, and just be like, "Hey, I've been tracking you."
Unfortunately, they all died. So
that's sadly the case with me too. All my heroes are gone.
Well, anyway, I thought that was really interesting. And I wanted to ask you guys, if you could track it.
I actually tracked Jeremiah and Lindsay on their way to Detroit and back. So,
and watched the air traffic control.
Yeah, it does seem really easy to track people these days. I mean, if there was someone you really did want to track, you probably could do it a lot easier than you think.
Well, you know
Oh,
what I
yeah.
heard that thieves do? They get a one of those air tags and they'll throw it in the back of a car or put it in a tailpipe or something, and they'll
Whoa.
follow you and see where you go, and it's pretty creepy. I don't know why I said that like that. Creepy.
Creepy.
Now we
That is
gave 'em-
kind of creepy.
Now we gave everybody good ideas here.
I know, my goodness.
I do want to
Sorry, guys.
say with that video of the airplanes, right? I think what stands out to me is that it happened before the conflict really kicked off. So theoretically, if you were paying attention to air traffic controller, stuff, then if a place normally has a bunch of traffic and then all of a sudden that air traffic stops, you could be like, all right, something's about to pop off here. So it was interesting to see that because it's almost like a pattern you could watch in different locations as conflicts happen.
Yep.
There's a fantastic YouTube channel called Monkey Works, and it's a military guy who just watches airplanes, and he talks about how you'll have skies cleared for particular aircraft, and it's just really interesting. But he does like little reports and stuff on that kind of thing. But so this video next is breaking down Iran and their military capabilities, what we have to look forward to here in the conflict happening in the Middle East.
One of the largest attacks on Iran in history.
Crosses a threshold that we've thought about, considered about, wargamed for 15 years at the very least. It's really brought this conflict, the Iranian-Israeli conflict, into uncharted territory.
The first strikes hit areas throughout Iran, including several key nuclear and military sites. Now, Iran is hitting back. But Tehran is entering this conflict in a weaker position than it held in the past. Here's what its military capabilities look like. Iran's supreme leader leads Tehran's large military operation, 2 branches of its own military, and a network of proxies that extend outside of its borders.
Remember this guy because we're going to watch a video from him coming up.
First line of defense.
The Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s was devastating to Iran. It convinced them that they never wanted war to return to Iran. So dealing with the proxies kept war away from Iran's doorstep. Israel has already kind of laid the groundwork for this attack against Iran by either destroying or severely degrading Iran's proxies in Gaza and in Lebanon. So much so that they're basically no longer potent military forces. The difference now is that Iran is all alone. And when Iran is all alone, it really only has one option to hit Israel, and that's to use its missiles and drones.
Iran has sophisticated missiles that can strike at various ranges and reach well into Israel.
Look how far out they
Israel's
can reach.
ambassador to the United States
crazy.
told CNN that Iran has
considerable volume of ballistic missiles, somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,000.
ballistic missiles are large and
Does that sound like a
but its
low
arsenal
number to you
also
guys?
includes less powerful and less
What was the number?
expensive cruise missiles
2,000.
which can fly low and be hard to detect. In previous strikes, Iran has used a mixture of these missiles to overwhelm Israel's defense system.
Iran tries to do when it attacks Israel is
Like
to
stars
shoot all of
falling
these
from the
things at
heavens.
once. So you have things flying at different levels, at different trajectories, at different speeds, which is meant to saturate.
I wonder how long it'll take to get our
So
Iron
then
Dome.
Israel has to pick and choose to knock this down, to knock
I hope
that
that's
down.
pretty
But
soon.
with all of that, you're hoping that something gets through.
Or our Golden Dome, I should say.
Iran staged a retaliatory attack on Tel Aviv and a number of Israeli bases in October after Israel killed Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah. Roughly 180 missiles were launched, and some were able to penetrate the defense system, but no deaths were reported.
Most of the missiles that got through, landed sort of in parts of the military bases that were not occupied. Patches of sand or a runway or, a warehouse, but they
Keep in mind what he's saying here about places that are not occupied, because it comes up later, and it turns out that Iran does these like missile strikes where they purposely don't hit stuff. But this attack's different because obviously, hey, look, they hit some stuff.
But they could be much more devastating to Israel in the sense that they could kill dozens, hundreds of people.
Because Iran needs to launch so many missiles in order to make that breach happen, the battle comes down to numbers.
Even though they have thousands of missiles, because they have to fire hundreds of missiles, each time in order to penetrate Israel's defenses, it's not really a stockpile that would allow them to sustain a long, drawn-out conflict that was fought through the air.
But
About
Israel
a
also
month.
can't fully defend itself on its own. In the recent attacks and in both of Iran's attacks,
So yeah, they can only keep it going a short while. It's very interesting to me that as this escalates, you're seeing kind of countries have to vocalize, we don't support Israel and we don't support Iran. But this is the actual Ayatollah of Iran, and he says some pretty interesting things. And Jeremiah, if you want to, at any point, you can mute this guy and narrate for us, or do an accent for him and read the
Hello,
text.
my friend. I'm calling today to give you Medicare. And if you don't want the Medicare, then I will come to your house and I will blow you up. Okay, my friend? With love.
Hey,
Love
that's
bombs.
that's why we don't ever tell jokes like that, because they always blow up in your face. So
Yeah.
Or
All right.
outside your front yard.
با ملت عزیزمون در میان بذارم اینه که رژیم صهیونیستی
a
اشتباه
big
بزرگی
mistake,
کرد.
a grave error.
خطای بزرگی کرد. غلطی کرد و عواقب او
He means
او رو
business,
اشاره خواهد
to
کرد
sum up.
به توفیق الهی. ملت ایران از خون شهدای گرانقدر نخواهد گذشت. از تجاوز با آسمان کشورش
Military commanders and scientists were killed in the Israeli strike on Iran, and civilians were killed on the from Iran side to Israel.
مسئولین کشور و همه آحاد مردم پشت سر نیروهای مسلحند. امروز از همه جناح‌های گوناگون سیاسی کشور و آحاد گوناگون کشور پیام‌های مشابهی صادر شد. همه احساس می‌کنن که باید در مقابل هویت
A
خبیث
strong response to the evil, despicable terrorists.
تروریست
The Z identity. I can't actually say the word because we'll get flagged
باید
on
با قدرت عمل
UT.
کرد و انشاءالله با قدرت عمل خواهد شد و با اونها مماشاتی نخواهیم کرد.
This episode may have
زندگی
been
برای اونها تلخ
shadow
خواهد شد
BANNED
بدون
because of one of the hashtags I
فکر
put in.
نکنند که زدن
Uh-oh.
و تمام
Uh-oh.
شد. نه، کار رو اونها شروع کردند.
So they're pointing at Israel for starting the war, and Israel's saying we had to do it because they were going to blow us up with a bomb. But then, are nuclear bombs real at all, right?
این جنایت بزرگی که انجام دادن خودشون رو سالم خلاص کنن. مسلم نیروی مسلح جمهوری اسلامی ضربه های سنگینی بر این دشمن خبیث وارد خواهد آورد. ملت هم پشتیبان ماست، پشتیبان نیروهای مسلح و جمهوری اسلامی به اذن الهی بر رژیم صهیونیستی فائق خواهد شد. ملت عزیز این رو بدونن و مطمئن باشن
Be
و
certain
خاطر
and
جمع
assured
باشن
that every
که در این زمینه هیچ
will be made in
کوتاهی
this regard.
صورت نخواهد گرفت. و السلام
You like my
علیکم
hat, my
و رحمت
friend?
الله و برکاته.
That's how they choose their leader, right? Whoever has the nicest dome.
That's what I
covering.
heard, but I wasn't for sure. I'm glad I know.
I mean, look, this guy won the competition in his country.
When I went to Israel, I got one of those just to have.
That looks
Okay.
like a
You can wear it.
tablecloth.
It pretty much is.
Yeah, like a picnic blanket.
We're just trying to be lighthearted, everyone. We are not crazy. We know that this is the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, and all respect and honor to his, prestigious
Full headdress.
full headdress. So,
Mariska Hargitay.
this is a interview several years ago. I believe it was in 2017, where he discusses the Ayatollah, the guy who we just watched, threatening Israel, and some of the things that he says explains why this is such a crazy thing that Iran is full on going at Israel now because of the strikes and why they're always threatening to destroy Israel and the U.S. It's really interesting. But check out what this guy says.
But I've seen that you called the Ayatollah Khamenei the new Hitler of the Middle East.
Absolutely.
Here is a video, an interesting video
Hitler.
of Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. What year did you say this was from? So this is 2018. I think this will really, 2019, sorry. I think this will really help frame the show today. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman talking about what the Ayatollah's intentions are. And this is why you can see a new Middle East is on the horizon, because we've basically taken out the really bad actor here. Listen to this.
Iran is not a rival to Saudi Arabia. Its army is not among the top 5 armies in the Muslim world. The Saudi economy is larger than the Iranian economy. Iran is far from being equal to Saudi Arabia.
But I've seen that you called the Ayatollah Khamenei the new Hitler of the Middle East.
Absolutely.
Why?
Because he wants to expand. He wants to create his own project in the Middle East, very much like Hitler, who wanted to expand at the time. Many countries around the world and in Europe did not realize how dangerous Hitler was until what happened happened. I don't want to see the same events happening in the Middle East.
Does Saudi Arabia need nuclear weapons to counter Iran?
Does everyone throw around the Hitler accusation so willy-nilly? Like, is it just the thing to do today?
Mm-hmm. Everybody's the new Hitler.
And it all comes full circle, because we start off with Henry Ford. Henry Ford was loved by Hitler. He's calling this guy Hitler. People are going to call us. Sorry.
About a week before October 7th, 2023, what was all of the talk all over the world? It was that Saudi Arabia and Israel were about to normalize. And Iran saw that. And then I think you can directly connect that to the events of October 7th, which, by the way, Biden had just released. Remember that non-fungible money that we had given back to the mullahs. So there's something there. But the point here is that even if the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, he's not saying, oh, Khomeini is Hitler because he doesn't like the Jews, right? Like, put the Jews aside for a sec. He's saying he's Hitler because Hitler wanted to expand, right? He wanted greater Germany and greater. That has been the goal, too, of Iran, which is why they've put an army like Hezbollah in Lebanon, et cetera, et cetera. So putting aside Israel and the Jews for a second, the Saudis did not want this either. And if the Iranians were to get a nuclear bomb, it starts a crazed nuclear race. Most people think that Israel has nukes. It's not a declared situation, but most people think they have it. But no one thinks Israel's threatening anyone with nukes. It's purely deterrence. But if the Iranians were to get the bomb, while they're saying we're going to blow Israel off the map, well, then the Saudis might be like, we're in some deep doo-doo too, and then we have to get it too. So this is all very, very good.
Well, it looks like Charlie has taken out our fantastic couple co-host.
Yep. Looks like he wiped them out.
Well,
but they'll be back.
Yeah, they'll be back. But hey, that brings us to a segment that you were telling me about. I heard you had some clips for us tonight as well.
Oh yeah. I've got about 3 of them. But this first one now, I guess on Friday we mentioned the fact, and I'm sure everybody knows that this month is been designated as Pride Month, just like it was last year and whenever they started this Pride Month thing. But it appears as though the New York Mets left baseball fans furious after showing the pride flag during the U.S. national anthem.
New York Mets left baseball fans furious on Friday night after showing a pride flag on their big screen during a rendition of the U.S. national anthem. Prior to their game against the Tampa Bay Rays, the Mets controversially displayed the LGBTQ plus symbol instead of the American flag as the Star-Spangled Banner played out at Citi Field. Despite a number of teams getting involved in the annual Pride Month tradition in recent weeks, fans are threatening to boycott MLB over the divisive stunt that took place in New York. One user posted on X along with a video of the pride flag being shown at Citi Field during the anthem. The Mets showed a pride flag instead of the American flag during our national anthem. Boycott the MLB. MLB teams traditionally hold pride-themed events in June, with the Boston Red Sox also sparking controversy by staging a pre-game drag show earlier this week. Los Angeles Dodgers players also wore baseball caps with colors of the pride flag mixed into the team's logo on Saturday, although pitcher Clayton Kershaw made a slight tweak to his hat. Kershaw, who is a devout Christian, inscribed next to the LGBTQ+ inspired logo of Gen 9:12-16, which is a passage from the Bible that claims the rainbow was not created by God to represent that demographic. Instead, the passage reads, "And God said, This is the sign of the covenant that I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you, for all future generations. I have set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth." That extract from the Bible, which comes just after the story of Noah and his family surviving a worldwide flood on an ark, suggests the rainbow is actually the sign of a covenant God made to never destroy the earth with a flood again. Kershaw's religious statement has gone viral on social media, with a number of users of the same faith commending him for reminding people of the rainbow's meaning. One wrote, "Classy move by Kershaw. The rainbow he supports has nothing to do with Pride Month. Courage to stand up for truth," said another, while another fan put, "That's a clever counter." Others, however, were critical of the baseball player for doctoring a hat designed to raise awareness for equality. The rainbow can have multiple meanings, one argued. Why can't the rainbow mean both? What a disappointment, concluded another, while one simply posted, "He should stick to sports."
So, what do you all think about that?
Well, I think that they should return the rainbow. I mean, that's kind of like what we did with the TrutherCon eye. I mean, why should we let evil people steal our stuff, like our rainbows and our eyes? So that's why we refuse to let them take any more things, and that's why the TrutherCon logo is an eye. I wasn't going to say that until later on, but
yeah, I think it's man, it's crazy how it's saturated in so many different parts of our culture. But I will say, I feel like there's a swing in the air this past couple months. There's been a very strong pushback. Like, for example, my brother and I, sometimes we play this old video game called Old School RuneScape, and every year, they would do like this Pride event thing, and just this year they canceled it. And you see that in college, situations. You see that, happening this month, that there's almost like a kind of a rolling back of the agenda in terms of the pride flag and, all that kind of stuff. But yeah.
I noticed that the article I read said that while the national anthem was playing and on the jumbo screen they showed the pride flag, that a lot of people sat down and did not, to put their hats back on or whatever, took their hands away from their heart or whatever and just sat down. So it really upset a lot of people there.
I mean, I would do that too. That's just disrespectful.
Yep.
They're sick of it. They're sick of it. We've had
sick of it. Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of the gay stuff, that no Kings rally thing that's going on. Yep. I came up with my own logo, and it's called No Queens. No Queens. You know what I mean? So, just thought I'd make my own.
All right. You want to do another one, Jake, or you want me to do?
Yeah. Let's go through your other two videos, and then I'll share a couple more news stories.
Okay. Well, this next one now has to do with basically Hollywood, and we're trying to figure out why Hollywood studios are still downsizing. Why are they letting people go and cutting shows, canceling shows and things like that. So here's a little clip that kind of addresses that.
The most anticipated blockbusters of 2025 mostly shot overseas. In many cases, production budget cuts, multiple strikes domestically, and what some describe as a California tax incentive that's no longer competitive, taking Hollywood elsewhere.
Hollywood burned up.
People make comparisons of Los Angeles to Detroit prior to the flight of the auto industry, and I have heard people say that we are in an existential moment.
Film LA, an organization tracking the decline, found that 2024 was the worst year for the industry in Los Angeles, only second to 2020 during the pandemic.
So far, year to date this year, we're coming in below that. We posted a 22.4% decline in on-location filming for the first quarter of this year.
Many films, TV shows, commercials, not only going overseas, but also shot in states like Georgia, Texas, or Tennessee instead of California.
Everywhere I go, it feels like a ghost town. And what's happening is there are the days where we'd work, 5 days a week have become 3 days a week, have become 2 days a week, have become 1 day every 2 weeks.
Thousands of supporting roles impacted too.
How's work been over the last year?
It's not been good. For the past 18 months, I've worked 3 months.
Shooting, editing, hair and makeup, costumes, the list is long. And while some can travel with production, others based here can't, including Wes Bailey's studio services company, Surreal.
Had to lay people off, had to downsize everywhere. People are doing 2 and 3 jobs, having to try and just to try and keep us, solvent.
Business, he says, is down about 40% over the last 2 years.
The vast majority of our industry is a blue collar and middle class labor force. It's a lot of really good jobs that have benefits when we have the work here. These are not people that can just, jet off to anywhere.
To try to get the jobs back to LA, Governor Gavin Newsom proposed a $750 million a year tax credit program. And 2 companion bills making their way through the California legislature, also hoping to increase the state's tax credit program. If passed, experts say it may work.
It's all about the money in terms of this, because that is what drives the production costs up. If you have to shoot somewhere else other than LA to keep your profitability up and your costs down.
There's hope that Hollywood won't be a sequel of America's Rust Belt.
I do see us pulling together and seeing us as Angelinos. We have to pull together and draw this work here.
But right now, fears of a flop hitting Tinseltown.
Wow, that's an eye-opener, Camilla. What do experts think it will take to get the movie biz to stay alive in California?
Wow.
Well, Tom, we may not get back to pre-pandemic levels when it comes to movie theaters, for example, but experts do say that the audience is there. They're going either to the movies or maybe they're instead renting it at home and watching those movies or TV shows on their couch. So if you have the audience there, that's what's important. But the key is also the studios making more money than what they're spending, Tom.
Interesting. Camilla Bernal, thank you very much.
Okay, so what do you guys think about that?
It's like all of the people that left after Diddy's place got shut down, like they were like 20% or so of the population of Hollywood, or could it be the fact that Hollywood literally burned to ashes just recently, or could it be the fact that there's like violent protesting and craziness on the streets and rampant drug homelessness? Or could it be the fact that they all moved to Texas chasing Joe Rogan? Or could it be the fact that they all had Teslas and then Tesla became bad and then the Teslas were all like firebombed by other, I don't know, man. Like the whole, like what could lead to the decline of the movies as we know it?
Retards. The wokeness.
Yeah. I mean, I think in the end, it's all a cover up for how AI is literally just going to take over the entertainment industry. So, of course, all these people are losing their jobs. we're moving very quickly towards technology where they don't need a whole massive cast and crew to create a production.
Well, I know there are movements now to move Hollywood to Texas, which is interesting. And I know there are a lot of big name actors that are trying to move that here, and I think that would be pretty cool with Austin and Dallas jobs.
I think it's a combination of all of what you said, Jake and Jeremiah. A lot of it has to do with basically the cost in California, the taxes, the how much they have to pay, the union Actors Guild, and all of the prop handlers and cameramen and all this other stuff, because it's all unionized. And so some of the, you notice the states that they said, which was Georgia, Texas, and Tennessee. Well, I know Texas is certainly no income tax and doesn't promote unions, but I think that's part of the reason why. Yeah. But Jeremiah brought up a very interesting thing. There is another big story going on now that has to do with two very big studios. Disney and Universal Studios are suing the AI giant called Midjourney. And yeah, so here is a little clip that talks about this lawsuit that Disney and Universal is now suing, and it's going to be a very, very definitive lawsuit as to if Disney and Universal wins. So here, let's take a listen to this.
This is a big deal.
Welcome back to Uprising AI, where we decode the future of artificial intelligence, one game-changing story at a time. Today, we're diving into one of the most explosive legal battles in the history of AI, Disney and Universal versus Midjourney. Yes, Hollywood's biggest giants are officially suing one of the world's leading AI image generators. In this case, it could reshape everything, from how AI is trained to how you're allowed to use it. Let's break it all down. On June 11th, 2025, Disney and Universal filed a landmark 110-page lawsuit in a Los Angeles federal court against Midjourney, one of the most popular AI-powered image generators today. The studios allege that Midjourney has built what they call a bottomless pit of plagiarism, producing endless unauthorized copies of copyrighted characters, Yoda wielding lightsabers, Elsa from Frozen, Minions, Darth Vader, Shrek, Toothless, Spider-Man, Homer Simpson, Iron Man, and many more. According to the complaint, users are easily able to generate near-perfect recreations of these iconic IPs simply by typing a few prompts into Midjourney's platform. Disney and Universal claim that Midjourney knowingly trained its AI models on copyrighted material scraped from the internet, without permission, licenses, or compensation. The lawsuit states, Midjourney's AI is a virtual vending machine of copyrighted characters. That is a powerful accusation, and one that could redefine the entire AI industry.
At the core of this lawsuit is a debate that's been brewing in AI circles for years: fair use versus copyright infringement. Midjourney, like many AI companies, trained its models by scraping billions of images from across the internet. They argue that this training process is transformative, meaning the AI isn't directly copying but learning general patterns, styles, and concepts. But Disney and Universal strongly disagree. They argue that Midjourney's outputs are not transformative at all, but instead, they directly copy highly recognizable characters, art styles, and intellectual properties. The studios also argue that Midjourney ignored multiple cease and desist requests and continues to allow users to generate infringing images, even encouraging it with community prompts and shared AI models. In legal terms, Disney and Universal are seeking monetary damages, permanent injunctions, and, importantly, a court-ordered requirement for Midjourney to install technological filters that block infringing outputs moving forward. Now you might be thinking, haven't AI companies been sued before? Yes, but this case is different. Until now, most AI lawsuits have come from individual artists, photographers, and authors. This is the first time major Hollywood studios have directly entered the battlefield. And unlike some previous lawsuits that focused on training data alone, Disney and Universal are attacking both the training process and the AI outputs, meaning the images users generate are seen as the illegal reproductions themselves. This strategic move shifts the case away from fuzzy legal questions about how AI learns and focuses instead on the crystal-clear reproduction of recognizable characters. If the courts side with Disney and Universal, this could set a historic precedent. AI companies may be legally forced to obtain licenses for training data and implement real-time content filters before allowing AI-generated outputs to reach users. At this point, Midjourney has yet to issue an official legal response, but CEO David Holtz has previously acknowledged that Midjourney's model was trained on, quote, a big scrape of the internet. The likely defense will lean heavily on fair use doctrine, arguing that AI's model training is transformative, non-commercial at the dataset stage, and akin to technologies like Google Search or Google Books, both of which survived copyright challenges. However, critics argue that producing near-exact images of Elsa, Spider-Man, or Yoda feels far more like commercial replication than transformative learning. And as we enter the era of AI-generated video, something Midjourney plans to launch soon, the stakes for Hollywood IP holders become exponentially higher. Make no mistake, this lawsuit could change everything. If Disney and Universal win, AI companies may be forced to negotiate licensing deals with content owners, artists, and studios before training their models. This could trigger massive changes to data acquisition practices, model training pipelines, commercial licensing models, and real-time AI content filtering systems. It could also accelerate the development of watermarking, attribution standards, and new regulations governing AI content creation. Some even speculate this case could trigger an industry-wide shift toward licensed AI models, where datasets are built exclusively from paid, cleared, or open-source content. And let's not forget, this lawsuit is part of a much larger copyright war unfolding globally. Authors have sued OpenAI. Artists have sued Stability AI. Music labels are suing AI music generators. News publishers are demanding licensing fees for training data. We are entering uncharted legal territory, where centuries-old copyright law is colliding headfirst with cutting-edge generative AI models. The big question is, can copyright law evolve fast enough to regulate AI? Or will AI reshape the very meaning of intellectual property itself? So where does this leave us? This lawsuit between Disney, Universal, and Midjourney could set a legal domino effect with massive consequences, not just for AI companies, but for creators, artists, and consumers worldwide. What do you think? Is AI stealing, or is it simply remixing like humans have done for centuries? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe.
Okay.
I think that's pretty sad. Like, while that clip was playing, I generated 3 images, one of Mickey Mouse smoking, one of Shrek smoking.
Blur it, dude. Don't show it on the stream. They're gonna come after us.
No, but it's like, it's so true that it's so easy for anybody to do it. You could do it like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the whole point of it. It's like, I get why they're trying to, protect their intellectual properties.
Well, this is going to have, this lawsuit is extremely important, and it's going to have all kinds of implications, not just for Disney and Universal Studios, but for a lot of what AI allows today, both from visual, audio, even writing papers, or even the newspaper people have been really getting upset about AI generated articles. So
Very interesting.
I think people have finally decided, hey, wait a minute, this AI stuff is dangerous.
But it's everywhere. You can't escape it now.
Well, that's that's
Auto
why they.
generation on your phone, it's everything. I mean, it's like you can't get away from it. So might as well try to use it for good if you can. But
Yeah. That's why they're trying to stop it now, or at least slow it down.
Investment portfolio AI scares the heck out of me, man. Like, just think about how we've talked about things like Grok. They only spit back what we feed into them, but at least they have a propensity of information from at least some good sources and a lot of bad sources, a lot of mainstream media, but they do scrape from the internet some good information, good media or whatever. But think about like an investment portfolio AI. You're basically going to create the god of that company. It's going to be like the AI god of Disney, because it's created only with Disney's investment portfolio. Think about how crazy this is, guys. Because you're going to have like Starbucks AI, and you're going to have Disney AI, and they're going to be like these pantheon of gods. Like, geez, this is crazy.
Oh yeah. And I don't know if I'm going to use any more baby videos.
Watch out! We've been showing a lot of baby Trump. He might come after us, Jeremiah.
Exactly.
I think Trump will forgive us.
Anybody with a likeness says, hey, that's my likeness, and I didn't give you permission.
Well, yep.
That's all I got.
Yeah, I'm really glad you covered that, because it's crazy how quick technology is going, and just like I realized when we did that interview with Tom O'Neill that sometimes the event is not the thing that was desired. It's the legal precedence that follows the event, if you know what I mean. And in this case, legal precedence is being set for something that's going to affect almost everybody's day-to-day life, unless you cut yourself off of the grid and throw your phone down the toilet drain. And who's doing that nowadays? I mean, let me just check my cell phone real quick. Where's the let's just see if the mark of the beast or whatever is here already. The one thing that we all have, right? But it's crazy how we're watching it unfold, and it's like a melancholy thing, because it reminds me of that story we covered where they had to kill one of the first versions of ChatGPT, and it's just like we're exiting these early Wild West days of AI, and we'll quickly head towards the AI that is the controlled, tailored AI versus the one that might have actually had some really cool use potential, conceptually. But cool.
Yep.
Well, guys, let's get back into some of this other news. I got one more video for us with several different clips. And it's pretty interesting. You're seeing a lot of people try to post clips from the attacks from Iran to Israel and Israel to Iran and such. But apparently the Israeli government is arresting citizens for showing videos, and they're arresting them on suspicion that they're helping the enemy. Maybe they don't want people propagating, successful missile strikes or whatever. That makes sense. But you're not only seeing that in Israel, the government cracked down on free speech, but you're seeing it on websites and all kinds of places. Guy films ballistic missile exploding from his balcony. I had this video ready, and in just a few hours, hey, thanks for your submission, but it's related to Israel, Palestine, or Gaza. These videos are not allowed. It's just crazy how the censorship is keeping people from sharing out what's actually happening on the ground. But here are some clips that I was able to find again. Just seeing that is crazy, guys. Like, that's like from a movie. Just crazy. Boom. But yeah, this was the hit in Israel. So what we learn is that from this whole thing, the Iron Dome doesn't work, because when it's overwhelmed, that's kind of the name of the game for Iran.
Yeah, I hope our buddy's okay.
Yeah, I've heard that the U.S. now is going to be supplying some supplemental defense missiles.
Near Shoshani, you gotta please send us an update. Send us a clip of your update. We'll share it. So this is the apartment complex area just near a school that got hit by the missile in Israel. So this next clip was really interesting. It's a clip back in 2024. President Trump revealed that after the U.S. took out Soleimani, the Iranian military leader, Iran called him to tell him that they are about to send missiles towards a certain location. And this is what I was pointing out in our first video is, remember how they were like calling out the fact that they were using these high-tech missiles but not hitting anything? Well, this video explains it. Check this out. They were purposely missing the target. And they let us know. They said, don't move. We're going to have to hit you back psychologically so that they, it's even in the face of the people. But Trump actually comments on this. Check this out.
Me too far would have never happened with me. I had Iran in check. Do you know, we hit them very hard for something that they did, and they had to hit back. They feel they have to do that, and I understand that. Do you know, they called me to tell me we're going to hit a certain location, but we're not going to hit it. It's going to be outside of the perimeters.
Who called you?
Iran called me. Iran called for me. And they let us know, and we had 16 missiles went off. I believe it was 16. 6 or 7 failed in the air.
When was this?
This was prior to the attack on a fort that we had where they hit back. Do you remember when they sent 18 missiles or 16 missiles? 5 failed. They let us know, don't move. We're going to have to hit you back. Psychologically, we have to do that because we hit them on something. You remember. They sent 16 or 18 missiles, and we knew they weren't going to hit inside the fort. And the media was going, and now I reveal it, the media was going wild because they say it's strange. They're very accurate missiles. How come they all missed? Nobody was killed, if you remember.
Yes,
with all of those missiles, nobody was killed. Now, they had to do it because they have people and they have to show strength. So they aimed the missiles, but they said, please don't attack us. We're not going to hit you. That was respect. We had respect.
We had respect. Well, this is the breaking news I mentioned earlier briefly. Israel is arresting its own citizens for filming Iranian missile landings. The Israeli military has put out official warnings accusing its own citizens of collaborating with the enemy for filming strikes. This is why there's limited amount of footage of the Iranian missile attacks outside of Tel Aviv. Very interesting. Yeah. Meanwhile, in Palestine, you have some crazy scenes coming out of Palestine. Gaza. And this was a clip just from last week of just the rubble piles of the Gaza Strip. So now you can see why all these countries tethered to Iran are so angry, because they're seeing this footage and they're like, our people, it's we're definitely seeing an escalation here. But look at that scene. It's like something from a movie, but it's real life, right?
It's like a horror movie.
This next clip I was really excited to share with you guys. It's one I found. It's how Mark Hoppus from Blink-182, and you're related to the other guy, Matt Skiba, but anyways, Mark Hoppus helped find Osama bin Laden by giving his tips to a military commander after one of their benefit concerts for the military. And I thought it was just a hilarious, interesting story, which actually sounds very plausible that it went down this way. Check this out.
82's bass player told our government how to catch Osama bin Laden. So they're touring. They're in a combat zone, but they're in a hangar and they're playing music, part of the support the troops type stuff.
Yeah.
And they do this concert, and then he's talking to higher ups, and he's like, I think I know how you can catch him. They laugh at him. He's like, I'm serious. Like, I've been thinking about this. They're like, all right, give me your pitch. How are we gonna find this guy? He's like, well, he broadcasts pretty frequently, and you guys are running surveillance. You don't know where he is, but he's in a region where you can probably fly over. He was like, why don't you broadcast at specific frequencies per region, which is undetectable to human ear but gets picked up by cameras, and when he does a broadcast, he'll have no idea that there's basically a dog whistle flying around in each area. He's like, you can see based on the strength of each thing, you'll be able to triangulate where he was.
Interesting.
The guy said, I'm going to be in Washington in a couple days, I'm going to pitch your idea, and that's the last he heard of it. 4 months later, he's gone.
That is so cool. And that's literally like what they did?
They never confirmed.
That's a good idea,
but he
though.
pitched that idea, and then 4 months later, he's gone.
That's amazing.
Mark.
So I always think that's interesting because not only did Matt have this like real world impact, this guy from Blink-182, but Tom DeLonge is apparently one of the foremost experts on UFOs and disclosure information, and got really close with some military generals or something.
Maybe they're government plants.
I know, man. I'm wondering. The only other guy is Travis Barker or Travis, the guy who plays the drums. And man, yeah, I wonder what role he feels in terms of the world stage, because they all seem to have their fingers in these crazy kind of things. Well, just the other day, a massive skyscraper in Dubai, in the Emirates. It was pretty crazy. The whole skyscraper was on fire. Usually you don't see buildings that tall burning, so I thought that was really interesting. There was a nitric acid leak in MacArthur, Ohio, apparently. Just the other day, you can see this like terrifying looking greenish yellow smoke.
I would hate to inhale that.
Yeah, that's the stuff that created the Joker.
I could see that.
Yep. Well, breaking news. Thousands of TikTok creators are posting nearly identical videos concerning the ICE raids in LA. This is very reminiscent of that video that showed the mainstream media reading the same script across hundreds of different stations. So check this out. They didn't do a very good job of syncing up their words like that other video. That other video was cool because it was like all in sync, but yeah, definitely they're all reading this script, this pro no king script that we've been seeing all these protests with.
Sounds like The View.
Oh, this is interesting. Apparently, Jason Everyman, formerly of Nirvana and Soundgarden, became a Green Beret after 9/11. Whoa.
Yeah, so did that actor. I'm trying to think what he was in. He didn't become a Green Beret, but he became a firefighter right after 9/11. Steve Buscemi or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, Steve. Yeah. Okay, so this next clip is crazy. Somebody catching van loads of people getting out for protests, and then they're acting super sus.
You tell me if these guys are paid or not. Go ahead.
Hey, well, I'm just documenting you guys putting all your protest stuff in a van. It's very nice of you. How far did you travel to come to protest today?
That's not really your concern.
Then why do you have like a van full of stuff?
Well,
wearing
you
masks?
there's a road here.
Yeah, no.
Roads are great for transporting things and traveling.
Look at these people.
Just, I can videotape on a sidewalk, so.
No, I'm going to stop you from videotaping it.
Yeah, I'm not going to interrupt you guys. I'm just
trying to understand.
disinterested. You guys are putting everything in a van, and you're getting really mad about it. You know, that looks really suspicious.
I'm just trying to make sure that you have, all the answers that you.
Are you guys paid?
No.
How much?
Those stacks of signs.
Or Reed Hoffman pay you to come protest?
They're all like,
come on. Was it good? Did you get paid well?
You know what's crazy about that is in Dallas they have one of those protests, and they were holding up signs that said "Not a paid protester, not a paid protester," which is something that a paid protester would say, I think.
Yeah, I've seen ads going around recently of for brave initiative alpha male strong men to go and be elicitors, and it's like $4,000 or $5,000 a month or something. Like pretty interesting the ads that are bringing people into these events. Here in another story, you guys heard about that airplane that crashed in India where so many people died. Well, this is the video of the lone survivor Ramesh walking out from seat 11A.
You should buy a lotto ticket.
Got a whole new outlook on life. He doesn't need one. Like unarmed.
Like, get off me! Get off me!
Wow. Yeah. So that's crazy. Just the amount of people that died, and then one guy walks away totally unscathed. That's just so crazy to see that. Yeah, Unbreakable is what I was thinking of, Miguel. Yeah,
and people were at the beginning they didn't believe it. You know, like they were like, "There's no way," and then he like provided a whole bunch of like evidence that it was really him, like he was really on that plane, because it doesn't sound believable. Like it really doesn't. Where he was sitting, I mean, normally I think they say at the front of the plane, you're more likely to live.
11A.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
he was by the exit. He was by the exit door.
I heard everybody's trying to get that seat now when they fly.
11A. Wow.
I think they'd be better off in the tail. Actually, I'm surprised that people, since the tail was stuck up on the building, I'm surprised that there weren't people that survived up in that part, but I don't know where people were seated. So,
well, it was probably the sudden stop of the tail that made that a bad spot. Yeah, because the plane, hit that.
It's possible. Yeah.
Yeah. What if this is like the crazy underpinnings of like a mystery thriller twist novel where it turns out that this guy actually orchestrated the whole thing and then just emerged as this, like he's like the prime example of somebody that really needs attention. So they orchestrate some terrible disaster to be the lone survivor. And I'm not saying that's what happened with this guy, but just the way we're talking about the people questioning if he is actually on it made me think of like, oh man, that would be a crazy twist.
A good movie.
Yeah.
How about Manifest?
Yep. Okay, so of all the footage that's come out of this escalation of World War III, basically between Iran and Israel, this has been my absolute favorite. I mean, I need to put this into a movie or something. Like this particular clip, guys, so crazy. It's a Lebanese saxophonist playing as the Iranian missiles hurtle above. The vibe is crazy too. Just listen to those notes. Listen to this. It's like the Titanic.
Yeah.
One more time. One more time. I love this scene. It's so like ethereal.
Or he's just really cocky.
Yep.
You can't hit me.
I got tripped.
Okay, so hey, what would you do if you looked up in the sky and saw like thousands of missiles streaming overhead? I mean, what do you do? What do you do?
I would grab this train whistle and go, or do something.
Yeah.
I don't have a saxophone, but
party up.
Oh man,
maybe my last day.
Well, this next clip is Joe Rogan with Shane Gillis talking about AI Donald Trump videos, and it's pretty hilarious because apparently this one fooled Shane Gillis.
I was like, no way. It seemed like something he might say.
The biotech company that resurrected the dire wolf. If they can bring back wolves, they can bring back dinosaurs. Terrible lizard. That's what dinosaur means if you break it down. But picture this, folks. Velociraptor, mounted border patrol agents. They'll rip your head clear off. Pterodactyls patrolling the skies, velociraptors on the ground to prevent the immigration apocalypse we may have to counter with a dino-apocalypse, folks. It's true.
It looks real. But I mean, you watch it.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious. Like, it really did sound full on like Trump was saying those things. But
it reminded me of that opening clip where I put that thing about Trump's signing an executive order, but that one was way better. Whoever did that one is a professional.
This goes back to the lawsuit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, with the comments there about dino apocalypse and recreating the dinos, did you guys see that the U.S. research team recently bred mice with mammoth fur? Very interesting. I mean, there's a whole bunch of genetic advances taking place with the new CRISPR and mRNA delivery system of, altering the genetic code of these creatures. But it's just, it makes me want to pet them. Let's just put it that way. I want to pet that little mammoth mouse. Mammoth mouse.
Probably bite your finger.
If they brought the mammoth back and they, had to kill one and they served it to people, would you try it? The meat?
I don't. Okay, so I don't believe mammoths chew the cud or have a split hoof. So according to the biblical definition, it would be not considered food.
Okay.
I would eat giraffe, though. Hey, check this out. My new favorite insult. You sound bleepinated. Oh, man. We can't bleep live shows. I forgot.
Yep.
Well, let's see here. So this was crazy. 3D holograms are here, everybody.
It's actually pretty cool.
One right on me. Oh, is that you?
I'm sure they can make it look more real than, the 1980s style, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously this is probably an early edition, but I'm amazed that they're at this point. But the way that they do that is with a really interesting, so
it's almost like Pepper's ghost effect.
The way that they etch in this light, it's just crazy. Yeah, I was looking up how the technology works recently, but obviously, what does it remind you guys of?
Around about 200 hours.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we can't show too much of this clip, if you know what I mean. But yeah, anyways, yeah, we're there, guys. That was literally what they were doing. They were had the little guys on the table. Wow. Speaking of holograms, check out this scientific experiment demonstrating a fourth dimensional shape in bubbles.
If you've ever wanted to see a fourth dimensional object, now's your chance. This is called bubble cymatics, and this video is not AI. Try to prove me wrong, but this is so cool. They shoot a light into a bubble.
Just another different type of hologram. It's a bubblegram. Man, that's so crazy. It's looks like a little heart or something.
But, spaceship.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. What game would you guys want to play on a hologram table? Would you want chess, or would you want to play a shooter game, or what would your first game be on a hologram table?
MLB 2014, the show, because that's the only one latest game I have.
Donkey Kong.
Hey, that's a good choice. I would do Crash Bandicoot hologram version.
What about you guys in the chat? Let us know.
Yeah. Hey, this next clip is of a fiber optic FPV drone, and these Russian soldiers get out and cut the line as it's flying. It's crazy to me that it's like it runs a physical fiber optic line, but I guess it makes sense if you're out in the boonies and you need to have a drone respond. But check this out. It's like, I didn't even know they were sending drones out tethered to a fiber optic cable. So the drone flies past him. He walks up to it and takes some like scissors or something. Got it now. Look, he cuts the line, and then watch this.
Wow, oh my gosh.
That's got to be a long cable. You know what I mean? That's a long cable.
Russia must announce mass mobilization and enlist
this
at least 5.
Next clip is breaking down the declaration of Russia's recruiting over 1 million people. Check this out.
And deputy head of the
all
main
because of this
military
recent
political
tension rise in the
directorate
Middle
of
East.
Russia's defense ministry. According to him, World War III has already begun and entered a new phase. We need to prepare in advance at least 500,000 and ideally 1 million people. Enlist them and start training, Alodinov said, so that no one dares to play games with us, the way they've played with all other states. Now, even with Iran, we must, believe me, unite, unite, unite on all levels, he added. Alodinov has been closely involved with Russia's effort to win back territory controlled by Ukraine in the Kursk region. He is also seen as a probable successor for sickly pro-Putin Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov. Earlier today, Alodinov reposted a message from Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei demanding severe retribution against Israel. He made clear with his mass mobilization call that he felt able to publicly express his own view to Putin about the need for a giant call-up to break the stalemate in the war with Ukraine. Alodinov's comments come after Israel attacked at least 6 military bases around Tehran, including Pachin, residential homes at 2 highly secure complexes for military commanders, and multiple residential buildings around Tehran. Iranian officials called the strikes targeted assassinations.
I really like the visuals in this video, which is why I'm showing it. It shows the flight pattern of the planes that came from Israel.
On the country, Khamenei issued a statement carried by the state-run IRNA news agency. It confirmed that top military officials and scientists had been killed in the attack. Apti Alodinov earlier called for a general mobilization in the country, suggesting that a couple of million people could be brought.
Okay, so this is even more cutting news. I just did a screen share. As we speak, live right now, these missiles are being sent towards Israel. These have not impacted yet as of us watching this video. You guys see them? These are flying in the sky right now towards Israel. Live. Wow. So, obviously, let's pray for the people that are about to get smacked, and if the Iron Dome doesn't stop it first.
Yep.
Man.
Crazy.
So
that was
invasion.
That's like really breaking news. That's pretty cool. Just seeing that pop up on my feed. All right, guys, let's end it up with one little clip from Terrence here. I saw this clip and I was thinking to myself, Jeremiah, I think it would be worth it to talk to this guy sometime. You know, we were discussing it back a little while ago, right before the Diddy stuff dropped. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and you know, he was talking a lot. It would be cool to interview this guy sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
Peace of God in them, and that's who you talk to. But make sure they see it in you first.
Yes, sir.
That's what my life principle is about. Make way for life. Find the peace of God in you and show it. Shine through. You got to remember, in every person you meet, there's a little piece of God in them, and that's who you talk to. But make sure they see it in you first.
Yes, sir.
That's what my life principle is about. Make way for life. Find the peace of God in you and show it. Shine through. You got to
So, anyways, I really think it's interesting, this escalation of events, and watching those missiles stream back and forth is very interesting. I do see the difference in the style of attack. Israel conducted a precision military execution, basically, and took out actual people and didn't have a lot of collateral damage, while Iran is just simply trying to overwhelm and get their pound of flesh. So just like the level that these two countries are on is very disparate, because just think about the capability of Israel. If Israel really wanted to, they could have done even more so damage, but they were very precise and took out just a couple of those leaders and those nuclear scientists and facilities. But, you know, as the world boils away, I was interested in showing that Terrence clip is not necessarily that I agree with Terrence in all of his theological positions, but I find it interesting that the love of many people are growing cold towards one another, so to speak. And so we're seeing these protests, we're seeing the wars kicking off, and it's really biblical in the way that we see it happening. But that's all the news for this week, guys.
All right, thanks, Jake, and thanks, Opa. And if you guys are just making it or have only saw the last 2/3, make sure you check out my wife's presentation on the Henry Ford Museum. She did a great job, and yeah, I love you, babe. I hope you're still watching. But let's end off. Thank you guys for being here. But let's end off with one of Jake's new Truth or Con ads.
All right.
More people need to get out there and question why they believe what they believe.
You start messing around with some of the stuff, I don't think that they were counting on Photoshop when they published all these pictures from the 60s and 70s. Look at this the picture in the lower right here. I'll just adjust the contrast for you. Ooh, what is that? Ooh. What's up with that?
Wow, they've been proven to be absolute liars, and how could we ever trust somebody who's lied to us already?
Those things made me go back to the scriptures and review it with new eye.
And then the truth always wins. We are on the side of truth. That's what every crazy person says. Then, not too long after that, the first conference happened. I think that's where I met your dad in person. And it's a never-ending journey from there. And if everybody woke up overnight, they lose total control. So they need distractions.
And what have they discovered? Absolutely nothing. Zilch.
So really, we should be calling it the dark force, because we don't know if it's native matter.
So, according to this chart, we are 96% stupid.
Wow! Beer mug hyperspace multi-bubble verse. Really?
Yeah.
Seriously? They're farting out beer bubble universes. Okay? That's what they're doing. Hey, I got an idea. Yep. Multi-beer bubble universe. And they call that science. And they make fun of us? Really? Yeah, I'm not going to take that from them anymore. I'm not going to sit here and let people who think they came from monkeys out of a beer bubble universe ridicule me for looking into what I'm looking into and considering, a possibility.
The kind of stuff we're going to be learning at TrutherCon 2025. So make sure that you're here in Dallas, Texas. We hope to see you there.
All right, guys.
Well, it's going to be epic. What happened? Whoa. Well, it's going to be epic. So we hope to see you guys there. And yeah, we love you guys. We'll see you next Friday.
See y'all Friday. Hey, drop a like and leave a comment on your favorite section of the video. And we'll see you guys next time.
Yes.